T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome back to Professional Readiness Course. I'm your instructor, Edgar Arreola, and I'm here to bring you the best material in educational technology. I'm a student at the University of Mariano Galvez here in Guatemala City, Guatemala, and I'm about to finish my licenciatura, which translates to my bachelor's degree in such aspects of education. So here we go. We're going to talk about gamification today for the second part of our webinar and our third webinar in total. So let me share my screen right here so we can start the presentation. The contents for our webinar today is gamification. What is it? Number 2, sites for gamification. Find out about different types of sites that we can use and the vast amount of sites that are available to us. Third, we're going to learn about basic sites to use. One of them is called Educa Candy, which I use with my students, and I know a lot of teachers who use it as well. Then we're going to move on to a little bit more advanced site, which is called Educa Play, and we're going to learn about that, but don't be afraid. It's very user-friendly. And number 5, we're going to have a closing statement on gamification, and lastly, we're going to have a look at our upcoming lives in the webinar series. So let's get ready to roll. The definition of gamification according to Hankin. Gamification is about transforming the classroom environment and regular activities into games. It requires creativity, collaboration, and play. There are numerous ways to bring games and gamification into the classroom to promote learning and a deeper student understanding of the subject. In other words, gamification is a tool to change the learning environment and how teachers guide students. Students can use the game app to think creatively and collaborate with other classmates. The game itself provides and it promotes learning for students and to understand and acquire knowledge. It's all about the game and how the students view the game. So we can apply different methodologies as gamification, as we talked about last webinar, to change up the style that we teach in. It's important to always progress as a teacher and grow. So much as our students are growing, we need to grow with them and learn about it. Some of us might say that, hey, I'm too old to learn that, but you're never too old. There's always time to learn. And you also might say, hey, my students probably know more about it than I do. And you know what? You're probably right. They probably do know. But we can catch up to them as well by learning and growing with them. So that's what it's all about. We're here to help at Professional Readiness Course. What is gamification in education? Well, for example, the game can be online with many different tools that the teacher creates and previously views. That's important. Previously views, because we don't want to give our student things that aren't relative to the subject that we're teaching. The teacher could use a word search or a crossword puzzle to reinforce vocabulary or play online. There are many different sites to choose from, and most sites are straightforward to use with many tutorials that we can find on YouTube. That's how I learned with some of my gamification sites too. We're going to look at a YouTube video today that I used to develop a quiz that has become pretty monumental with my students as a warm up and things like that with developing teacher training. They love it. They learn how to adapt. But let's not skip ahead. Let's just let's stay on course. Sorry about that. I get excited and then we jump ahead. But we'll take a look at that later with quizzes using YouTube. And the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit with us and the teaching process. We just need to have our technological caps on to learn new knowledge as educators and educate ourselves. The objective of gamification: increase the motivation of students in the classroom setting, make learning more dynamic, and involves the students. The characteristics of gamification: they offer the student challenges, they reward the students. Competition is always a key in gamification because we put together, some students want to win, they want to do better than the other students, but everybody has that sense of competition. It offers badges, like they can get rewarded with the badges, reach different levels. The teacher can hand out the certificate of the first badge and then give out different badges upon the completion. Also, the games offer badges as well, and they offer instant feedback. And feedback provides explanations to the students what they are doing right and what they are doing right or doing wrong in these aspects, making learning more constructive. And explanations is they are one of the most invaluable lessons that we can teach as educators, giving feedback. The advantages of gamification: it makes learning fun. Who doesn't like to play a game during class? Students crave the learning through gamification. They set up real world learning. It makes the experience more memorable, and it's just plain out fun. So let's move on. These are some sites that I have prepared for gamification. One of them is called WordWall. The other one's Kahoot, Bamboozle, Educa Play, and Educa Candy, which we're going to take a look at later. But first, let's start off with WordWall. WordWall is a site that I use with my students, and I use it as a roulette. So when I'm trying to call on my students, we can press start. And here we have the roulette. And all I simply have to do is spin the roulette to call onto my students, and it works seamlessly. All you have to do is press spin. These are students from my last class. And all you do is you spin it, and instead of calling on a student and using the same names over and over, we can create a random wheel with WordWall to call on them. We can also use a different type of random wheel, which is flipping the cards. And these are different aspects that we can use with our students, and we can undo it. We can shuffle it, reshuffle it. If all the students have participated, we can go on and calling on different students. And this is just one of the awesome sites that I use to call on my students randomly. Also, the site offers word search. It also offers different other open the box and see who's in there. It's like a TV game show. And we're going to pick on one of these. So we can ask a student, pick a number. They pick number 4. And it's up to Maria to answer the question. So it's just simple ways that we can start using gamification to adapt ourselves to the learning aspects that we want in this methodology. Going back, oops, I skipped ahead, to Kahoot. Kahoot is also a site that we can use with our students that many of us already understand and use today with our classes. It uses mobile phones, and the student signs up by sending a code, and they play simultaneously in the class. Also, there's another gamification site called Bamboozle where I developed this game with my students. And this is all about the Addy model. It's in Spanish, but we all get the idea. These can be played as flashcards or a real game. We can come over here and hit play, and we can play the classic game, which pins two teams against each other. We pre-divide our students with the game wheel that we use with WordWall. Then we move over to Bamboozle, and we can start asking the questions to our students instead of having them playing on their mobile devices. We can project this onto our screens and have our students pick a number. So team number 1 would say, I want number 2, and they would pick number 2. So right here, they would ask the question, the teacher would ask the question, the students would respond, and then we would click the button down here to check the answer. If the student gets it right, or if the student gets it wrong, we can click the key and we have all the control as teachers. So they get it right and they get points. So they just got 15 points. Then we call on team number 2 and ask them, oh, they hit a jackpot. So instead of answering the question, they hit the jackpot and they get 50 points automatically. Then team number 1 picks number 1, they answer the question correctly, and the point score goes up. That's just a basic overview of this game, Bamboozle, that we can use with our students as well, using gamification with our classes. So if we return back to the presentation, we can go to Educa Play, which is the site that I prefer to use my quizzes because I can find preloaded material online. This is a quiz that I made, and it's a Simba. It's in Spanish as well, but it's pretty cool. We can add the questions and we can split it up into different fragments. Then when we're ready to play, we can come down here and preview the game. Okay, so you open the preview key, and this is exactly how our students will get the assignment. This is called Game Time, and it's a video from YouTube that I've embedded into the site where we can add questions. So the video will stop, ask a question, it will run for a little bit, and then ask another question. Let's take a look at how it works. Okay, so the video stops and then it starts asking questions. It asks, what type of animal is Simba? Is he a zebra, a lion, a rhino, or a fox? We all know he's a lion, so our students come up here. They pick lion, here's their points, and here is the time limiter. And they respond, and then they get their points, and then they go on to the next question, and the video will continue to run. And then they get another question and they ask, what part of the world are these animals in? Are they in Guatemala, Mexico, Africa, or Canada? They're in Africa. So the student responds, they get their points, and they go on to the next question. And then to finalize the quiz, they just ask, what type of animal is the warthog? Of course, just like my teachers think that this is memorable, this activity is memorable. Pumbaa is the most memorable character in the whole show. So the correct answer is Pumbaa. And our students respond and they go on to finish and they get their score. Here's the student's profile, his points, and how much time it took. He got 100%. They can either go on and play again, or they can see their corrections. But since there aren't any corrections, the student doesn't have to go back and take a look at them. But this all involves the feedback aspect that I've been talking about that we need to give our students. And that's just a basic overview of Educa Play and one of the many tools that we can use with Educa Play. That's one of my favorites. It's one of the ones that teachers ask me, hey, how do I do that? And I send them the video tutorial and they learn how to do it seamlessly. So back to the presentation. Educa Candy is what we're going to learn about right now. Educa Candy is a site that's very easy to use. Like I said, let's watch the video tutorial now. Welcome to the video tutorial on how to use Educa Candy. Educa Candy is an amazing site that we can use to use gamification with our classes and engage the students. The first thing you must do is type in Educa Candy to your search engine, and we're going to go to this site where it says Making Learning Sweeter with Educa Candy. Once we get to this portal, we can either sign in through Facebook or Twitter, or we can create an account by just using our email address. Here we can type in our email address. We can continue to the game site. Once in the game site, it gives us these three different options. And like I said, this site is very easy to use. So with one list, you can create 3 games to play with your students. It's amazing. So first thing you have to do is go to either a word list, a matching pairs, or a quiz question. What we're going to do is a word. So what we're going to do is go into the main site, and it's going to ask us to create an activity, and then we put in the name of our activity. So we're going to use virtual trips because I've already have that in there, and then we're going to write my first Edu Candy, and we're going to create the game. Here is just simply generating a word list. So here you just type in word number 1, and you press add word. You can't forget to press the add word key, and then it'll start generating your list to this side. See, it's already working. So here we have word number 1, and then we continue and just add words. Just adding our words for our list. That's all we're trying to do, is just generate words for our list. After you have generated a few words, we can go back to an activity that I've already created, and we can go to My Activities, and we can scroll down. These are all the activities that I've used with my students. You can see we have types of transportation, we have geography, the 7 C's, we have apps and such to do virtual trips, singular and plural nouns, common and proper. We have a word list on vocabulary, and the one that we created today on virtual trips, my first Educa Candy, which I am showing you to do today. But let's go to a pre-generated word list. We can go here and we can go to edit, and we can take a look at the edited word list. As we can see, we've had a vocabulary lesson with our students and types of different transportation that they have on their vocabulary list. So here they have a car, a train, bike, bus, taxi, and airplane, which is a simple word list. And we can go back and go to the word list where we were, and we can play this game. We can actually play this game. And the cool part about this is that you can share it or you can play it, but we're going to go into play it so I can show you guys what exactly Educa Candy can do after we create our word list. We can go into play a word search, a spell it, or anagrams. In the word list, it's a simple word search where the students can go in and play a game looking for these words on the side. So everybody knows what a word search is, and the students can use this to identify different words in a controlled practice setting for an evaluation, just so they can start recognizing the words and doing their homework. Like right here, we have the word bus, which is on our word list, and you can see the little candy bar was really, really happy that we got that right. And that's basically the word list function. If we go back to our games, we can scroll down back to our vocabulary list and go back to play. We can go to a spell it game, which basically helps students learn how to spell and recognize their word list. Here we have a 3-letter word, and the 3-letter word that I think it is was bus, but it's not. So the students continue to look for letters that might be in the word list. There's an A, so I already know what this word is. It's car. And here we can see that the student missed a few words. I missed a few words, which were 3 letters, and the candy bar got munched on. So here we can see there's a longer word. I think I know this word. So you can see that the candy bar's happy because we're getting the word right, and it's giving us like that recognition that we're doing it right. And once we get the word correct, the candy bar is happy, and then we go on to our next word. So it's a very easy way of learning, and see it's dissatisfied right here because we got that word wrong. I have no idea what this word is, but we're going to continue to play until we get it right. And see, you can see our candy bar isn't very happy because I can't figure out what this word is. The word was taxi. We didn't get it right, but we get to move on to the next word. And now our students are engaging, they're learning the vocabulary and getting to know it. The last game I wanted to show you guys was this anagrams. The anagram game can be played as well, and these are 3 different games. Remember that we just generated 1 word list, and it's giving us 3 different games to play with our students. So here it's a mixture of words, and the students have to find out what word this is, and they have to get each letter in order. And as you can see, there's a little worm right here, and the worm starts growing, and when we get it right, he's so happy. Oops, there we go. You got to spell taxi right. Every single time you have to go in the word order. So it teaches spelling and that sort of thing for our students, which I need to practice. And it's an incredible game that we can use to play with our students. We can go back to the word list, and this is how we share the word list. We go to the word list that we want to share, we press share, and we can either get a copy of the URL or we can embed it into one of our sites. We're going to copy the URL onto our computer, and we're going to seamlessly send it to our students. That's a basic tutorial on how to use the word list generator in Educa Candy. It's super easy to use, it's super clean, and our students have a great time using it. Thank you very much for listening to this tutorial. Back to the presentation. Okay, so that's a video tutorial on how to use Educa Candy. I found it very easy to use, and many educators, many teachers ask me, hey, where can I start off with? You can start off with Educa Candy, giving your students word searches and word finds and anagrams and spell it, as they like to call it there. Moving on to the next site, which I promised to show you guys, the site on how to use YouTube videos with our students. And it's called Educa Play.
In order to create a new activity in Educa Play, you must first log into your account. After you have signed in, click on New Activity to create your new activity. Next, you will need to select the type of activity you wish to create. Scrolling over an icon will show you the name of that activity. After you have chosen the type of activity, select the language for the activity, create a title, and give a brief description of the activity. Finally, choose the grade level for your target audience and the content area that best corresponds with your activity. Then click Next. You can change the title and other basic information at any time by clicking Edit Data. Premium members can set privacy and run mode settings to determine who is allowed to access their activity and how they access it. In the General Data section, you can adjust the settings to be sensitive or not sensitive to capitalization and special characters for written answers. Next, you need to add the video you will use for the quiz. You can search for and select videos related to your topic with the search bar, or you can click on Embed URL to enter the URL for a YouTube video. After you have chosen the video, set the start and stop times for the first video sequence by dragging the arrows. If you are unsure of the times for the segment, you can click on the video to watch it and find the segment you want. After you have set the times for the segment, click Add Question to add a question about this segment. Type the question into the statement box and then select the type of response. There are 4 types of questions. Single is a multiple choice question with a single correct response. Multiple is a multiple choice question with multiple correct answers. For both of these options, type in an answer, click Add Answer to add a new answer, and then select the correct answer or answers when you are finished. The written and wide written options require the user to type in the correct answer. Wide written gives a larger answer space for typing. If spelling does not matter for the answer, be sure to include common misspellings as acceptable answers. Also include any acceptable types of punctuation you think the user might use. Remember that the settings for sensitivity to capitalization and special letters can be changed in the General Data section. The Feedback section can be used to provide more information about the answer. This information will be available to the user after the question has been answered. When you are finished with the answers, choose the appropriate Save option. If you want to use another segment from this video, click Save and Continue Video. If you are finished with this video, click Save. Cancel will exit the video without saving the current segment, but will not erase segments you have already saved. You can rearrange completed video segments at any time by clicking and dragging them to the appropriate place. You can change the length of a segment by clicking Edit Segment, and you can change the question by clicking Edit Question. You can delete video segments by clicking on the X. Before you can publish your activity, you need to make sure it has at least 3 tags describing it. You can get tips for improving your activity by clicking Help. And you can see what the activity will look like when it is published by clicking Preview. When you are satisfied with what you have created, click Publish Activity to make it available to the public.
Okay, so moving on to our closing statement. There are many gamification sites to choose from. We can pick from many to fit the age bracket of our students. The important thing to remember is to make learning meaningful for our students. I remember when I first started with my practice for teaching, and the most important thing for me was making things meaningful for my students. I remember I taught something at the beginning of my teaching practice, which was like a month and a half long, 2 months. And one of the students came up to me and said, "Hey, I still remember the first lesson you gave." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that was so long ago." But I made it meaningful. So he remembered and he built that knowledge and he had it all through my teaching practice. It felt so good and rewarding to listen to this student that I didn't have any feedback on if he knew or engaged or he understood the information. But he came up to me and said, boom, 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 boom. This is what you taught in your first lesson. This is what you taught in your second lesson. And he memorized everything because the material was so meaningful. So connecting with our students, using methodologies like gamification, help us hone our skills, like I always say. Our upcoming live events, 2021 Learning for the Future, Virtual Reality and Augmented Reality Integration. You're not going to want to miss that one. This is one of the classes that I have taught that I've gotten the most feedback on that teachers really, really love to use with their students. So don't miss it. It's going to be up next in our series of live webinars with Edgar Areola. Again, I just want to thank you for being here. It means a lot for the amazing support that you guys have given me. And I I can't say enough about the comments that everybody has left, and I want to thank everybody again from the bottom of my heart. And that has been webinar number 3, gamification. Try it today. Have a good night.